Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Homework 5.7, multi-step equations. The first part is going to be trying to combine like terms when we have variables on the same side of the equal sign. So if we look at this question number 1, I notice I have a 6x and a 4x like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So I can change this into a fancy two-step equation that reads 10x plus 1 equals negative 9. So go ahead, draw your Tetris. Add -1 to both sides. This cancels out because it's 0. We get to drop down 10x equals -9 plus -1 is -10. Same signs I'd keep. And then we go ahead and we finish it off by dividing both sides by 10. This cancels out because it's 1. So x is equal to -10 divided by 10 is -1d. I'd pause and try and do number 2 if I were you. All right, number 3. I have an ability here to keep change a couple things. So plus a negative k plus a negative. And then I can combine negative k and negative 7k. And when I do that, I should get negative 8k, SSAK, right? Same signs, add, keep the sign. So negative 19 is equal to 5 plus negative 8k. Go ahead and draw your Tetris. Let's go ahead and add -5 to both sides. Please put plus signs. These cancel out because it's 0. Negative 19 plus -5 is -24. You get to drop down negative 8k and the equal sign. So now we go ahead and we finish off by dividing. Divide by -8 to both sides. And k is equal to -24 divided by -8 is positive 3b. I would pause and try and do number 4 if I were you. All right, the next portion is where we have to distribute first to get ourselves a two-step equation. So we got to do -7 times r and -7 times -5, right? So -7 times r is -7r. -7 times, we could say plus negative. So -7 times -5 is plus 35 equals 84. Go ahead, draw your Tetris. We'll be adding a -35 to both sides. This cancels out because it's 0. You get to drop down the -7r equals, and let's do some math. So we go ahead, we borrow here. We get 14 minus 5 is 9. 7 minus 3 is 49. And we keep it positive because there were more positives. Last step of a two-step equation, divide by -7. These cancel out because it's 1, so r is equal to 49 divided by -7 is -7. That's your answer. It's negative because you had different signs negative. I'd pause and try and do number 6. Number 7, we can go ahead again, distribute the number right outside the parentheses to both terms inside the parentheses. So we're going to get 152 is equal to 8 times 7k is 56k, and 8 times plus -2 is plus -16. We'll draw our Tetris. We will add 16 to both sides. And this cancels out because it's 0. We drop down 56k equals 168. That's 168. We'll go ahead and divide. And even though you don't know what 56 or 168 divided by 56 is, you can look at your answer choices. I mean, how many times do you think 50 is going to pop into 160? It's going to be 3 times. K is equal to 3. Notice I'm not making you check. But you could easily take your answer and plug in and see how both sides add up to 152. On the back side, this is the part where we have variables on different sides of the equal sign. That magical equal sign tells us what we need to do. So first, I like moving the variables to the left. It just kind of makes more sense. If you want to move them to the right, it should be fine. You should get the same answer. So first I need to add -x to both sides. Notice how I haven't drawn a side yet. Everything gets dropped down, so I have 6 that get dropped down plus 3x equals 9, and those cancel out because they're 0. And now we just look, it's a two-step equation. You know how to do these. You should be able to do these in your sleep by now. Add -6 to both sides. That cancels out because it's 0. We drop down 3x is equal to 3. And then we divide both sides by 3. Cancels out. X is equal to 1. A. I'd pause and try and do number 10. Number 11, again, we got variables on different sides of the equal sign. So I'd say first plus negative, and I'd say, all right, I'm going to try and move this guy over here. So add 6x to both sides. This cancels out because it's 0. Everything gets dropped down. So we have 1 plus negative 4 plus 6. Those are different signs, so I subtract. It gives me 2x equals 11. That's a two-step equation. We add negative 1 to both sides. That gets canceled out. We drop down 2x is equal to 10. And then we end up by dividing everything by 2. So x is equal to 5b. I'd pause and try and do number 12. All right, number 13. Again, we go ahead, we draw this initial line to say, all right, I have variables on either side of the equal sign, so let's move 8k to the left and do it by adding negative 8k, so that cancels out. Everything else gets dropped down. Negative 11 plus, what's negative 8 plus 6, or 6 plus negative 8? Really, we're subtracting 8 minus 6, it gives me 2, but I say negative 2k because there were more negatives, equals 1. All right, notice the importance of keeping everything in its nice column. All right, so now we go ahead and we end up adding 11 to both sides. This cancels out because it's 0. Negative 2k gets brought down. Careful here, this isn't 21, this is 12. I didn't have enough space to put it in the correct place value. And then we divide to end by negative 2. So that cancels out. So k is equal to 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. D. I'd pause and try and do 14 if I were you. And 15. We have plus a negative. Plus a negative. This just stays alone. So we add 4r to both sides. Those cancel out because it's 0. The 1 gets dropped down. 1 plus, what is negative 3 plus 4r? That's just 1r, positive 1r, because it's really 4 minus 3, and then I have more positives, equals, and then the negative 5 gets dropped down. Then we go ahead and we add negative 1 to both sides. That cancels out. We drop down 1r equals negative 6. And really, our answer is just negative 6. Dividing by 1 here won't change anything. But just for pattern's sake, we get r is equal to negative 6 when we do negative 6 divided by 1. So I'd pause and try and do 16 if I were you. Lastly, last summer, Gary trained 32 more dogs than Zena. Together, they trained 126 dogs. How many did Gary train? Whoa, what's going on there? First of all, I don't know how many Zena trained. She trained X. And Gary, all I know is that he trained 32 more than Zena, right? And I know together they trained 126. So it looks like we should have Zena, or X, plus Gary, or X plus 32 should equal 126, equals 126. So notice how the variables on the same side in this equation, we're just going to combine like terms. If they were on different signs, then we have to move. But since they're on the same side of the equal sign, we can just combine them. So x and x is 2x plus 32 equals 126. Tetris this. Add negative 32 to both sides. That cancels out. Drop down your 2x is equal to, that's a 4 and that's a 9. So 94. Divide by 2. And x in this case is equal to 47. Right? Now that's not your answer, because x is what Zena trained, right? I want to know what Gary trained. Gary, remember, his expression was x plus 32, because he trained 32 more dogs than Zena. Right? So now you got to take this 47 and you got to plug it into Gary's expression. So 47 plus 32 will give us how many Gary trained, and that is 79 dogs. And we could check to make sure that we were correct, because it's supposed to be Gary plus Zena is supposed to add up to 126, right? Together they trained 126 dogs. Well, we know Gary's 79, and we know Zena, when we solve for x, was 47. Is that equal to 26? Well, 79 plus 46 is 126. So we know we have the correct answer. All right, have a wonderful weekend. Call me if you have questions.